Hello everyone. We're looking at the Quade's Gambit or Quade's Gambit or whatever. And this is an instructive game. I think it's instructive because it was played between two normal chess players at the club level. And both the players were not very well versed in the theory, so lots of moves were found on board. Just wanted to show you what possibilities black has while playing the Quade's Gambit. E4, E5, F4, E takes F4, that's King's Gambit accepted, Knight F3, King's Knight's Gambit, G5, the main line for Quade Gambit. And normally the game, the next line that would follow in the game would be Knight C3. This is a standard move. Replying to the Quade's Gambit. But I think the player who was playing with white was very cautious of this G4 move, and so he played H3. Now, this move has the idea of blocking the G pawn from coming up to G4. So the black player replied with Knight F6, standard move, hitting the central E4 pawn, Knight C3, Knight A6, and this has an idea of placing the knight on the square G3, then hitting the rook and the bishop. Knight E2 was the reply, looking at this square, then preventing black knight coming to this square, and Knight C6. So black develops his other knight and brings it into the game. Now, I'm not sure these moves are very sound though. Haven't analyzed this game yet. It was recently played in a club, in a chess club, and just wanted to share it with you to show you the possibilities of the Quade's Gambit with playing with black. So G4, and of course now if I can take this pawn en passant, knight takes this pawn, and then knight takes G3. I think basically, even though I haven't analyzed this game, I think pushing up this pawn to G4 was a mistake. White should have continued with his development, and this move, as we'll see, will completely open up his king side. So knight takes G3 and knight takes G3, and now rook G1 hitting the knight. Knight takes F1 and rook takes F1. Now we can see white's king side is totally open. D5, now attacking the central E pawn. E takes D5, queen takes D5, and D4. Black here replied with bishop takes H3. Very logical move, attacking the rook, rook f2, and castling queenside. Now if we pause here for one moment and look at the board, the black's position is completely winning. We have this file and this completely open E file, and with the king still in center, the E file especially is extremely dangerous. Very soon we would see this bishop coming to a square on this F8 A3 diagonal and attacking the king probably from here, from B4 square, and this rook coming to the open E file, attacking the king directly. So yeah, I think this is a very good position for black. And I should mention here that both these players were not very strong players, and this is a 15 minutes game. So they were probably thinking aloud in this game and not making extremely sound moves. Nevertheless, just wanted to show you the possibilities for black while playing this line. So bishop takes g5, hitting this rook on d8. Bishop b4, check, the idea that I had just discussed. c3, blocking the check. Rook e8, checking the king. I think the game is over here. King d2 was the move that was made, and it was met with knight takes d4, and white resigned here. Now knight takes d4 is a completely winning move, because if king moves to d3, then knight takes f3 check, king c2, knight e1 check, king b1 forced, bishop b5 check, queen c2, knight takes c2, king c1, knight takes a1, rook d2, queen h1 check, rook d1, and queen takes d1 check. It's all forced moves. Now instead of doing king d2, he could have blocked with the rook e2, but then queen would have taken on f3, the knight was hanging, and c takes b4. Then that would be met with bishop f1, and the game is over. What can white do here? Nothing. The rook is gone, and checkmate is coming. Another idea, another possibility would have been to block with the knight e5, knight takes e5. If knight e5, then knight takes e5, d takes e5, and rook takes e5, check. Rook e2, and queen takes d1, check. Rook takes d1, rook takes e2, check. King takes e2, and bishop g4, check, pinning the king with the rook, and the rook is gone. So there weren't many possibilities for white in this position, and the game was lost very quickly. Another game played in the same club between two chess players that I know very well. e4, e5, f4, e takes f4, knight f3, g5, and now bishop c4. And both these chess players, again, are normal chess players, not very strong and not well acquainted with the theory, and so they were finding moves on board. So here black went g4. Now I should probably mention here, by the way, that if instead of bringing the b1 knight out to c3, or pushing up the d pawn to the 4th rank, if white chooses to play bishop c4 as his 4th move, then he can enter into something called the Murtzio Gambit, and there is a variation of it called double Murtzio Gambit that we're going to look at next. But for now, white moved his knight to e5, and queen h4 check was the reply. g3, f takes g3, queen takes g4, queen takes g4, knight takes g4, and now with this bishop out on c4 instead of being on f1, white actually supported his g3 pawn with bishop d6. So if black supported his pawn on g3 with bishop d6. So now if white takes this pawn, black can take back with a check. Instead, he brought his other knight out to c3. Black developed his knight, and white castled. Very peculiar move, question mark. D takes x2 check, d takes h2 check, king h1, and bishop b5, bishop takes f7 check, king d8, d4, knight ge7, bishop g5, h6, bishop f5, rook f8, bishop h5, bishop a6, and rook f5. And here, both the opponents shook hands and drawn the game.